Hello, everybody. Well, we all have stress, don't we? And today I want to talk about the different stresses, not just stress in general, because when you're trying to get rid of stress, I think it's actually better if you're really focused on which one you're doing or go through all of them individually to make sure you cover all your stresses. Everyone has different sorts of stress. They will have stress in a general sense, but then a lot of people have a certain one and not another one. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And also energetically, that's really interesting. From my point of view, you can have physical stress, emotional stress, mental stress, and psychological stress. They're the main ones we're going to talk about today. The physical stress will be when your body is being stressed. Maybe you've gone for too many long walks, or perhaps you went to the gym and now your body's feeling really sore and really. It will pass, but it's something stressful for your body. Maybe you decided you were going to now start running and everything aches, so you're stressed. Or it could also be that you've got some illness or you've been sick and it stressed your body. You could have an infection or you could have arthritis, and these will all be stressful for the body. The body works on its own and tries to fix everything up, but it's a very physical place where we have stress, and that's one of the main stresses we have. It's physical stress, and I think pain goes with that, because often if you have a physical stress in the body, there'll be pain or inflammation or discomfort with it. The next one to talk about is the biggie, one of the biggies I think, which is emotional stress, and this is when we get overwrought. When we have too many emotional things coming at us, we get emotionally overwhelmed, we can't cope, and we feel terrible. It's how you feel. Emotional stress is all about how you feel. It's a really feeling one. It could be that you're going through grief, you might have a divorce, you might be suffering from a lot of depression. It could be that your work situation's emotionally stressful because there's a lot of fighting and very political at work, so you can have emotional stress from there. And also mostly in your relationships, that's where you'll have emotional stress from your relationships. Fighting, screaming, yelling, cold wars, other wars, hot wars I suppose you call them, when people are actually yelling at each other. And also the stress of being worried about somebody who's sick or going through things that you care about, that will give you emotional stress. These sort of stresses will be things like fear and terror, and there'll be grief, as we've said before, and sorrow. You can also have other things like anger and rage and hate and resentment. These are all stressful emotions for the aura and the body, and therefore they're some of the things that will give you emotional stress. It'll be a stressful situation. For example, if you've got someone whose family who's dying of an illness, emotionally that's going to take its toll on you, and you're going to feel emotionally stressed through the whole process. Next one is the mental stress. That usually comes from the thinking part, not so much the feeling. They can interact, those two, emotional and mental, but it really is the thinking. It's how you have to think at work. Maybe you're under a lot of pressure from work to get deadlines done. Perhaps you're feeling stressed because you can't do the work, you don't know how to do it, or you're making mistakes, and you can have a lot of stress from that. I remember that my husband came home from work and he'd pressed a button. He used to work as a database administrator, pressed the wrong button and lost a whole lot of places, 70 sites or something, or 70 places. And he came home, he was so mentally stressed. And of course he was emotionally stressed because he was upset, but mentally he was just stressed because he had to go back tomorrow and see if he can find them and reinstate them. So those are mental stresses that people have. And the other one, which people don't talk about, but I think is very, very powerful, and I've found when I were checking people, a lot of people have this one, is psychological stress. This is how all of those come together and how we feel, and to a degree, how we behave. Psychological stress will be mental, emotional, and also behavioural. It will change how you respond to things and how you react. These are the four main ones. You might know straight away which ones are yours or which one is yours. I feel that most people don't have all of them at the same time. However, they usually have one or two major ones, and it has a lot to do with what's going on in their personal life at that time and their professional life with their career. When you go to release it, I highly suggest that you go to the ones that you think they are the ones. So if you think you're emotionally stressed, go and do that. If you think you're mentally stressed from work, do that one. And The other one is psychologically stressed. That's a bit harder to know, but it's usually when you have a psychological reaction or behaviour to a situation, and you might be having trouble with certain things around your body, like your digestion, because when you get upset and you're feeling bad, it upsets your gut, and it could be that you're giving yourself a lot of migraines because you're so stressed and it's psychological. It doesn't mean it's any less. I don't think any of the four are bigger or lesser than the others. It's which one affects you. When I did it, I just checked with my pendulum to ask which one I had, or which ones, and then I went and did the work. I also used kinesiology. I asked for the kinesiology things, and you can check out how you self-test, and I asked which ones I had, and then I went and worked on them. For me, I found that I went and did the release work with the pendulum, then I went and did the release work with the tapping, because I like emotional freedom tapping. I also did the meditation and went down, self-hypnosis. I used that, and then I just kept letting it go and letting it go. It also helped me know which one to really focus on, and gave me sort of an understanding of why I was reacting certain ways because of which stress it was, and that way I could actually monitor it. For example, if you've got a lot of emotional stress, you might want to let go of a lot of the emotions as well that are around that are causing the stress, anxiety and fear, those type of things which are upsetting you, worry. And if you do some work on letting them go, then the actual stress can go down a little bit more. The mental stress, it might be how you manage things now. Perhaps you make sure you have more time off from work, and go into the zone, go and play video games so you're not thinking about work, so you have a rest. Go and watch something, go and read a book, have friends over, so you're just in another space, so mentally you're not thinking about it, and it gives yourself a rest. The psychological one, I think you just have to put yourself in a calm place, be in a more serene place, do all the things that make you feel calm. Because psychological stress is different to the other two, I feel. It's more, it's emotional and mental, but it also has this thing where it makes you feel a certain way but also act a certain way. So if you get too psychologically stressed, you can end up getting a lot of illnesses that they can't find where it is. That can happen with the other two, but I've noticed that psychological stress gives people sort of weird illnesses and things that doctors can't find out where that is in your body, because it's actually from the psychological stress. Do the work, see if you can get rid of it. You can also use other things like you can talk to the doctor about it. There's medication if you want to go that way. You can also use other things. I tend to use herbs a lot, and I think homeopathic things work well, and rescue remedies very good for this kind of stress. It won't help you with the physical, but it will help you with the others. You really have to find what works for you, and everyone has their things, their go-to places, the things that work for them and calm them down, because it's quite good sometimes to take something physical to help you with the emotional, mental and psychological stress. Some herbs or tinctures or things to calm you down or make you feel less stressed. If you don't know which one you've got, which stress it is, just do all the four of them. Just work on getting rid of the four of them, and that way you make sure that you've covered all your angles, so to speak. I was really pleased when I woke up this morning and I saw all this, and it was really kind of exciting to do the podcast, because I was like, oh wow, that's how you can go and do that one. Because I'd looked at stress before, but I'd missed out a few of them in terms of what I was talking today. Therefore, once I went down that path and found the four of them, I found it was much, much better for me, because I could work out exactly where it was and where to go. And that's also if you're going to ask for help or do some absent tapping on somebody you know, or send them a healing. If you know where it is for them, what sort of stress they have, when you send the healing, you can send a better form of it, I suppose, rather than just general stress. We need to be less stressed because it's really bad for the body and the aura, and it also makes you feel like crap. So it's another reason you need to get rid of it. So work away at it, and once you can figure out which one you've got, do that. And if you can't, do all of them. That's what I suggest, and that's a very less stressful way of doing it. So I hope you have a less stressful week, and I hope you can get some help from this podcast at working out which one you have. I think it's also good for the people who are living around you, because you'll probably get an idea that maybe your son's got mental stress, but your daughter-in-law's got emotional stress. You can kind of, and even if you say to people, I think you've got emotional stress, do you think maybe you've got that? That sort of helps them alert to know where to go to fix it. And being in nature is always good, or swimming, running, being active, those sort of things to get it out of your body, but also out of your aura, massage, all these things. You know all about it, but I know that knowing which one it is will hone it better for you, and you'll have more success, especially with your release work. Enjoy your week. I hope it's not very stressful. And I'm sending lots of love and lots of light.